working on a sleeve transfer today and the back of a hoodie. I did get the placement a little bit off on the hoodie, but that's okay. It still is amazing. I will show you all of that in just a few minutes. We are going to go through how to import your designs into the RIP software. What even is RIP software? We're going to go through the printing, the powdering, the curing, all of it to end up with this amazing design, and you'll get my final thoughts at the end. The DTF printer and curing oven are from InkSonic. If you want to check them out, the link is in the description, and thank you once again to InkSonic for sending these products my way. We are going to start off right in the RIP software. Let's take a minute and understand that RIP stands for Raster Image Processor. That means that it's going to take your image and turn it into little tiny dots that your printer can actually understand and print. RIP software is not a design software, so you will have to bring in images that are high quality. You want to look for at least 300 dpi PNGs with a transparent background for your best results. I did grab this image here from Creative Fabrica. It wasn't exactly what I wanted, and I did need to modify it. So I actually started this little journey in Silhouette Studio as I do. I was able to quickly turn this into this for the back of the hoodie, and I also created this little design for the sleeve portion. Because I am running Business Edition, I'm able to save that as a high quality PNG image and export that. Then I can go into RIP software with my completed design, open that up, and that's where you get into resizing the images and setting them up on your canvas. Now let's slow down for just a minute and go through these steps. This button here is where you can import your images. Click on that and it's going to bring up your files. I had saved mine in my downloads folder. They're right here. I just held down my shift key and clicked on both of them and then open, and it brought them onto my canvas. This setup is not going to work, obviously, but we can fix that. As far as sizing or scaling goes, you can use these little boxes down in the corner, and that will resize your images for you. I want mine right around 11 inches, and I can come down here and see that it is 10.911. We can double click here and just enter 11. And now I know that the image is exactly 11 inches wide. The height is down here. It's almost a square, not quite. If you want to change each of these individually, you can unlock your proportions here. That is called aspect ratio in Silhouette Studio for those that are familiar with that design program, but it is the same thing. If this is locked, it's going to keep everything proportionate. If it is unlocked, it will scale the width and the height separately. Let's move this off for just a minute and set this on here. And I'm still a little bit leery about printing close to the edges, so I like to make sure my design is just a little bit smaller, and I can use this button here to center it to the page. Now I've got a little bit of leeway on each side, and that makes me feel better. Now for this part of the design, I could set it right on the canvas, either above or below this, but that's going to waste a lot of film. So let's select that and come down here to these, and you can flip that on its side. You can either left rotate or right rotate. It doesn't really matter for this particular design. I'm going to click one of those, and now I can just drag it and put it right on my mat. And you can see that it is, once again, really close to those edges. So I'm going to shrink that down just a little bit. Again, I'm just playing it safe here. It is selected, so I can click on this button and it will put it right in the middle for me and give me a little bit of breathing room. There are a lot of buttons on here that I have not played with yet, just to be honest. I know that this is to start a new job, and this is to save. This is your back button, import image. This is to make sure that you're in selector mode. Here's crop. This is for your canvas settings. And we have your mirror buttons down here. You can either flip horizontally or vertically. And these are your centering buttons, your alignment buttons. Over here you have brightness, contrast, and saturation. I've not played around with those yet. I'm sure we will get there at some point. You do want to make sure that you have the right settings here under W1. We can click there and you can see that the design on your mat turns to white. This is showing you what the white ink is going to look like. This is the layer that goes underneath your colors once it's pressed. You want to make sure that you have 100% white under any colored pixels. And this part here makes sure that the white does not go past the edge. I have it so that the white margins are just slightly smaller than the colored print. I have it set to 0.1 millimeter on all sides. But once you have that set up, you can click this save button, and that's going to make sure that these settings are saved, and you shouldn't have to go back and forth with that each time you print. You can click back on RGB, and that's going to bring back your color print. Next up, we need to actually head over to RIP, and you will set up all of this in your first print, and it's all covered in the manual. But I did want to come down to the output settings for just a minute. In my first video, I was confused because the manual says to flip your design horizontally, mirror it before you print. However, my software already had this setting checked and it mirrors it automatically for me. You can also rotate 180 degrees. If you have this checked, you do not need to mirror your design in the software. And since you have to mirror every design for DTF printing, I'm just going to leave that checked and I won't have to worry about it. I know I can import my designs and they will come out just right. Once you have all of these settings correct, we can click on print. Your print preview is over here. The processing bar is here. This has to come up to 100% before you can go any further. And at that point, you right click on here and you have these options pop up, and you need to go up here to print. Before you click print, however, you want to make sure that the printer is on and that you have activated the suction so there aren't any smears on your print. I did run into a small problem here. The printer got about a quarter of the way through the print and it just decided that it was going to move itself back into the home position and stay there. The power button was still flashing red like it wanted to print, but nothing. So I just shut the printer down, waited for 10 seconds, powered it back up, and it actually started the job right back up automatically, but it started it over completely. So it did not pick back up where it left off, and unfortunately I did lose that time and material. It wasn't a huge loss, but just something to be aware of. I'm keeping this video at normal speed so that you can see exactly how the process goes. It is not zippy. This design took about 15 minutes to print, but it's still not horrible because it was a large design. This is going to cover the back of a hoodie plus the sleeve. Now you're going to notice that this printer goes through and lays down the color ink and comes right back behind it with the white ink. That white ink behind the colored ink is what's going to allow you to apply these transfers to any color material. This is going on a black hoodie and that white background is just going to make those colors pop. It is going to be amazing. Now we can lift this up carefully by the edges. You don't want to touch the ink, it might smear. We're going to move over to the curing station. This is my favorite part. It's almost like playing in a sandbox. I'm going to scoop up some of this transfer powder and pour it over top of the print. I'm going to lift up the end of it and kind of let that transfer powder just roll over the whole design. You want to make sure all of your ink is covered. When you're done with that, just take it out, give it a little shake into your bin. You can save that powder and reuse it. And then we are going to move right into the curing oven. Now my oven is still heating up. I do have it set to 140 degrees for 25 seconds. And as you'll see here in just a minute, when I pulled that out, it didn't seem quite done. So I popped it back in there for just a little bit longer. But recommended settings are 140 to 160 degrees Celsius for about 20 to 30 seconds. And you can go up to 40 seconds if needed. We are getting so close now. It's time to press the transfers onto the hoodie. And I am going to start by turning on this little hand press. Came with the printer, and honestly, I am impressed with this little thing. It does an awesome job. Let's get that preheating. You want it at 180 degrees, and each press is going to be 30 seconds. So set the timer up now as well. Then on to prepping the hoodie. I like to give everything a quick press before I add the transfer. That's going to remove the wrinkles and any of the moisture. And I'm also using a lint roller on this. I like to create a crease in my material for the center line. It makes everything easy to line up. And I also added a piece of sublimation tape to the back of the hoodie where the hood will actually lay. So I know my design is not going to go above that line and be covered up by the hood. Because this design is large and the press is small, I will have to do 4 sections. And once that's done, you have to let these cool completely. And it takes a few minutes. The bigger the press, the longer it takes to cool down, but just have patience, walk away, refill your coffee, whatever you need to do, but do not touch this until it is cool. I like to peel these off very slowly because if there were any issues with the press, you can lay it back down, give it a little bit more heat, let it cool again, and then peel, and it will be fine. If you rip it up like a Band-Aid and something didn't stick, it's toast. But this is looking absolutely amazing. You do want to do a second press for about 5 seconds to really get that nice smooth texture. And now we can move on to the sleeve. You can see there is already a crease here on the center of the sleeve, and I want to press right on that crease. And that crease is going to be the center line for my design. Let's go ahead and prep the surface, pre-press, lint roller, and this one I'm actually going to tape down. I don't want it moving around because the crease on top actually lines up with the seam underneath, and I don't want to press right on that seam. So I'm kind of juggling it around a little bit here. The seam is going to end up off to the side, but I'm still going to have a nice flat surface to press these butterflies on. Same thing, you're looking at 30 seconds per area. You want to just hold it there and apply medium pressure. You don't want to be moving the iron all around back and forth. None of that. Just hold it down firmly for 30 seconds. When that's done, then you can move on to the next section and press firmly on that for 30 seconds. Again, after you give it time to cool down, we can go ahead and peel. I peel slowly. And this is why I did run into an issue on this one. I think I didn't get the ends of the transfer good enough. So I'm going to lay this back down, do the press over, let it cool, come back, and this time it's peeling perfectly. Add your parchment paper, another quick press, and this is done. So final thoughts. The colors on these prints are absolutely gorgeous, especially the butterflies on the sleeve. I'm still learning the process, but this press went a lot smoother than the first press, so we are making progress there. All in all, it's not really quick, but I have to say it is faster than layering vinyl. If you want to check out the printer and oven that I'm using, the link is in the description below. Follow along for more InkSonic or Silhouette content, and I will see you in the next video.